Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll get started here in just a minute. Let folks get settled. Okay. And as people are filing in, I'll just kick us off here. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Kaya Swift. I'm the Marketing Director for Heller Consulting. And today's topic is transforming alumni engagement with Ascend from UC Innovation. Before we get started, I'll cover a few housekeeping items. All of your attendee lines have been muted so that we can ensure high quality audio. Today's webinar will run until 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and a recording of this will be sent to you tomorrow. And finally, we encourage you to post any questions that you have in the question box. I know a couple of you have already submitted your questions ahead of time. Thank you. If something pops up while you hear our panelists talking, then post it in the question box. I'll be monitoring that and we'll answer them at the end of the hour. So with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our fabulous panel today. We're going to start with Barbara Fisher, who is from the University of Toledo Foundation. Barbara, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do at the University of Toledo Foundation?
Sure. So Barbara sounds actually like my mother's yelling at me. So it's Barb, but that's okay. I just took me a little off guard there, so it's fine. Everything's all right. So I'm the Associate Vice President of Advancement Services here at the University of Toledo Foundation. I head up the prospect research team, information systems, communications, events, and stewardship. So that's what I do here, and my partner in the IS team, we're kind of heading up the CRM implementation that we're doing here. So thanks for having me today.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Barb. I'll stick with Barb for the hour here. And we also are joined by Kushal, who's from UC Innovation. Kushal, welcome. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at UCI?
Sure thing, Kaya. Welcome, everybody. I'm Kushal Dasgupta. I'm the Vice President of Product and Partner Development at UC Innovation. I've been with the company about 18 months now. I'm in my second year. But prior to UC Innovation, I spent my entire adult professional career in advancement, managing operations and technology. I got my start at Louisiana State University, where I spent 10 years building the advancement services program there, and then moved over to NC State for another 10 years there, managing the advancement services program there. And prior to UC Innovation, most recently, I was the CTO of Development and External Affairs at SMU in Dallas, Texas. So that's me. I'm looking forward to the conversation today, and I'll turn it over to Carolyn Chang.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn Chang. I'm the Vice President for Product Strategy at UC Innovation. I've been with the company about 5 years, but like Kushal, I was a longtime practitioner. 26 years at Stanford University, 24 of which were in development and advancement. I was a fundraiser, so for 7 years in the annual giving area. The head of director of the medical annual giving before I moved into advancement services. So the bulk of my career has been in advancement services, managing Stanford's gift processing area. And then I moved on to Santa Clara University, where I was AVP for advancement services and campaign operations. And for there, I had a larger portfolio. I also had lots of different things, stewardship, prospect development, and then all the ancillary things like HR and facilities and budget. But that was before I joined UC Innovation, as I said, about 5 years ago now. Oh, so am I doing this?
Fantastic. And Carolyn, I was going to say, Carolyn or Kushal, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of background of UC Innovation.
Yep, no problem. So UC Innovation was actually founded in 2011 as a certified implementation partner for Salesforce, implementing Salesforce CRM at for-profit institutions, and we're headquartered in Southern California. In 2013, we began our work in higher education with the University of Southern California as they were beginning their transformation into Salesforce for advancement. And we developed what became Ascend with USC starting in 2013. We went live with prospect management in 2015, and then with gift processing and bio demo records in 2016. And that was all in the middle of their $6 billion capital campaign. In 2018, we officially became a Salesforce certified vendor of our product Ascend. And since then, it's been a rapid growth. When I joined in 2018, actually, we had 2 clients. And now we have close to 47, or over 47, close to 50. And at the company itself, we have about 80 people, and we have over 250 years of advancement expertise. I have a chunk there. Kushal has a chunk there, as you can tell. And we're 100% focused on implementing and innovating our product Ascend.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both for being here. And last but certainly not least is Allison Venice from our team here at Heller. Allison, could you tell us a little bit about what you do for Heller Consulting?
Absolutely. Thanks, Kaya. My name is Allison. I am a consultant at Heller Consulting. I've been on the team for just about 1.5 years now, but prior to this, I worked at a nonprofit organization in my hometown of Chicago for over 7 years, and I was their primary Salesforce administrator. So I've been in this nonprofit educational Salesforce space for quite some time now. And in my role at Heller, I've been on a lot of our Ascend implementation projects with various universities, including the University of North Dakota and Loyola University Chicago, and of course, University of Toledo. So I've enjoyed being a part of those projects as consultant and project lead on some of them, and I am excited for this conversation today.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison. And I'll give just our quick overview of Heller Consulting. We've been in the nonprofit and education technology space since 1996, and we've had the privilege of working with over 3,000 clients on, or 1,500 clients on 3,000 projects. And we have a team of folks across the United States and Canada, all of whom, like Allison, come from nonprofit or education backgrounds and have certifications in project management, change management, and of course, different technical certifications. And we are proud to only serve nonprofit and higher education clients. And we are also a certified B Corporation. So that's a little bit about us. And I'll go over our conversation today. So we're going to be first talking about the challenges that our advancement teams are facing today, and then get a little bit of background about Ascend from UC Innovation and how Ascend addresses some of those challenges. And then we're going to be looking forward and hearing some advice from the panel today about if you're thinking about going into an implementation in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, what should you be thinking about now? And lastly, we'll wrap up with questions from you all. So we will start with the challenges that advancement teams are facing today. And Carolyn, Kushal, I'll start with this question from what you all have been hearing from your customers. Like Carolyn, you said you have almost 50 customers and you have, this robust advancement community. So what are you hearing today about the advancement challenges?
So I'll take that one, Kaya. So I think, what we've been hearing really is around, as fundraising practices grow and evolve, how can fundraising systems stay aligned with the fundraising practices that are growing? Again, this is a very common theme, and for folks like me that had been on a legacy system going on 20 plus years, that was our primary challenge, is the lack of the ability to support new and best practices in fundraising with a platform and a system that was contemporary. So I think we hear this a lot from our client base and from other advancement community members, is this need to really support our fundraising practices with technology and platforms that are more contemporary and current, and can grow and evolve. It's just not a snapshot in time. You can't just stay current for today, but you have to have a process in place to continuously improve and iterate and align with the fundraising practices. So that's one of a few things that we hear. Other things, of course, there's that shiny object, ChatGPT, and how can we use AI and ChatGPT? That's a very common question. I think there is less of a shine now than it was in December of 22, and I think it was that we were getting a lot of questions. But the new technology there and how we adapt and how we use it for our current practices is a common theme. And along those lines, I think we get a lot of questions about how is your product going to stay current with these technology innovations, and I think that is something that comes up. Specific to advancement, I think we hear a lot about how can there be a comprehensive online donor experience for alumni and donors, and what tools are available in the marketplace to support that online experience. And very topical to this webinar, we get asked a lot about what does it take to do a CRM implementation, and how can you help us do more with less, which seems to be a common advancement services demand, if you will. We want to transition into newer and greater technology, and how do we accomplish that goal? So those are some of the common themes of questions or challenges that surface to us. Carolyn, I don't know if you have others there.
No, I think that's right on point. I think I was thinking about the new shiny thing, right? So just as short time ago as a couple of years ago, it was like, how do you process crypto? And that was the question, how do you do it? How do you do it? And now I rarely get that question, right? I mean, it's just some things stick and some things don't. I think AI is going to be around for a while, but so we have to be ready for that. But it's interesting, how can we adapt quickly? And I think that the Salesforce platform and Ascend are able to adapt more quickly than our legacy systems that we perhaps have been working in for the bulk of our careers. So.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Barb, for you, coming from that firsthand experience, what prompted you and your team to start looking for new technology? What challenges were you facing?
It's funny. I've been here at the foundation for about 5 years, and I think since I've started, we've been talking about this kind of, we need a new database. And so last year, February 14th, 2022, we had a new vice president of development start, and kind of the first thing he told me is, okay, new CRM. I'm like, excellent. So that was the actual impetus. But I think our system currently. We've had it since like 1991, which is like before the internet, before the iPhone. I'd like to say before I was born, but I don't think anybody's going to buy that. So, so it's aging technology, and I think, and I made notes, so I'm just going to make sure I read my notes. So it's aging technology. And I think it's really the access to data, right? We have kind of all of these workarounds and all of these things happening, and we don't really have kind of one place where everything is. And that was kind of a challenge, I think, for everyone. We have a lot of workarounds. We have a lack of documentation, and just kind of all of the things that when you have a system for a long time, things just kind of, you get lazy maybe. And so I think it was just a difficult system to get information out of and to be current with technology, especially around emails. And that was something that was extremely frustrating for us. So those were kind of the things that I think we're like, okay, it's time. So yay.
Absolutely. That's something that we have heard quite a few times from clients here, where you have folks that have that sort of institutional knowledge about systems that have been there for decades. And then when those people leave, all of the knowledge goes with them.
Right.
And, having technology like Salesforce and Ascend and things can help mitigate that moving forward. That's absolutely something that we've heard before. You're not alone in that.
Excellent. Good.
Um, And then let's talk a little bit about Ascend. So having kind of that groundwork of what challenges are facing advancement teams today. For UC Innovation folks, if you could just give us, before we talk about some of the details of it, if you could give us a brief introduction to Ascend. And I know you gave a little bit of where that came from with the University of Southern California, but if there's some more details about Ascend that you'd like to share.
That's you, Carolyn.
So the thing to understand is that Ascend is an application in the Salesforce ecosystem. The engine that drives Ascend is the Salesforce CRM. So we don't exist without the Salesforce platform, and that is something that I think takes a little bit to understand based on again, our aging technologies that we're all used to, that this is a little bit different. But it does allow for us to take advantage of all the R&D that Salesforce has. It's the largest CRM in the world. I don't know, 100,000 clients using their product, and so all of the R&D that they put into the product, we get to take advantage of because we are an application based on the product on the Salesforce platform, which is terrific news because what we do then is we take the best parts about the Salesforce and we make it into advancement language, so that it's useful for advancement practitioners. And so that's the point, what we bring to the table with this application that we have. Kushal, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that you got it. I think the Salesforce platform, being on that ecosystem, is such a big advantage for Ascend, and we're native on the Salesforce platform, and we inherently use some of the key features.
Sorry.
And we are specific
National
to.
alert.
That's right.
Oh.
Okay.
I'll give it a minute. And we're specific to advancement. So nothing like a national alert going off on a webinar, right? Get your attention. Yeah, no, I think what you covered, Carolyn, there, being part of the Salesforce ecosystem gives us a tremendous advantage. And if you are an institution or an organization using Ascend, you don't have to worry about the cycles of innovation as much as you worry about the outcome and how that is going to align with your fundraising best practices. So I think that's a great advantage of the modern platform that Salesforce offers.
Absolutely. And then for you, Barb, when you and your team were kind of evaluating different technology options, what stood out to you about Salesforce and Ascend, and why did you decide that that would be the right fit for the University of Toledo?
Yeah, and I think that something that Carolyn and Kushal touched on is this kind of forward thinking. We didn't want something that's going to suit us today. We wanted something that was going to kind of grow with us as an institution over the long term. And I think Salesforce, obviously, big, and they've well known, and they've got their stuff together, right? So and I think that was something that we wanted. We knew we could grow with that system and with the technology. So Salesforce kind of checked that box. And I think Ascend really, when we did the demonstrations, understood that advancement piece, right? So Salesforce kind of gets the database and that sort of thing, but Salesforce or Ascend really understood what we needed from an advancement point of view and how to kind of run our business. And so that's something that stood out for us. So I think having those two things that were kind of linked together really stood out for us as something that was, forward thinking and would work for us now and in the future. And I think one of the things that's great about UC Innovation and Ascend is they're also innovating all the time, right? It's in their name. But they're also, looking to get user input and looking for kind of what can they do to change and help and kind of be current. So that was also something that was really attractive to us when we were looking for a new system. And yeah, that's my notes. Thank you.
Perfect. And then for UC Innovation folks, how is Ascend? We've touched on it a little bit about the advancement capabilities that are built in Ascend that work in concert with Salesforce. If you could talk a little bit about the specifics of those functionalities that you have built into this product that are needed by advancement teams.
So as Carolyn mentioned, Ascend was designed specifically for advancement, and because of that inherent DNA, it has really robust functionality for records management, for prospect development, prospect management, for gift processing, and for folks that have academic medical centers, it also has a grateful patient module. So inherently, it is to serve the practices in advancement. In addition to that, we have the portal product, which is the constituent-facing engagement or online giving directory functionality that really allows you to have a comprehensive alumni and donor engagement online. So it includes features like events, event registration, mentorship, some volunteer management, and really covers those advancement business needs related to constituent engagement. In addition to that, in addition to these common functionalities, we talk about the latest and greatest. We also are have Ascend AI, which is on the forefront of sort of our investment in AI and ChatGPT, where new functionality like donor segmentation with AI or chatbot or donor and constituent profiling to be able to identify next action steps. These are some of the core features of Ascend today and what we are building in the future. Even basic needs like the VSC reports to support higher education advancement, for example, is out of the box on Ascend. So in terms of functionality, we really have a lot to offer because, again, our investment of resources and research and development is really focused on advancement.
And I might add that one of the things that we always look for is how can we make advancement teams more efficient. So coming from where I come from, we have a couple of proprietary tools that help you ingest data from various sources, because we know that you're going to get data from lots of different places. And so how can you make sure that the data going into the CRM is clean and not duplicative? And so we have some tools that help the advancement teams of gift processing and bio teams do that more efficiently. I was actually I'm actually in a hotel room because I'm here at the Case Community Colleges conference where I'm presenting with IB Tech, and I just was told by Annette, who's the AVP, that something like 40% of their gifts come in via payroll, and with their transformation in using Ascend, they can process 1,000 payroll gifts every other week. And she said, we have to look at maybe one or two every other time. And so imagine that used to be all manual, and now she gets to do it all automated. And the amount of time that it's saving for a very small advancement services staff is tremendous. It's stories like that we hear that are just make me so excited to continue with this journey that we have with our clients, like our community members like Barb.
Absolutely. Yeah, any of that saving time is just, it's It's amazing. And then Allison, you mentioned being a consultant, working with some of Heller's clients that are adopting Ascend. So you're working in the product every single day. And so I'd love to hear about what your favorite things are as you've been getting familiar with Ascend over the last couple of years.
Yeah, of course. I don't think my answer is going to come too much as a surprise because it will piggyback off of so much of what Kushal, Carolyn, and Barb have already stated. But I really truly believe that Ascend handles the complex advancement needs that really extend beyond the capabilities of typical fundraising softwares. A couple examples that come to mind are multiple gift designations and very extensive relationship management history. But of course, beyond that, it offers all of the customizability and scalability that comes with the Salesforce platform, including workflow automations, different security permissions to support the various advancement team functions, and unique page layouts with dynamic content. So various internal audiences can really see what is necessary for their own roles. Some frequent use cases that I've configured for clients and that Ascend in general can be uniquely configured for each client include like comprehensive campaign tracking and also membership automations based on giving history. And then, of course, to reiterate what Barb said earlier, what really stood out for me the most is how UC Innovation is continually incorporating feedback from their customers and partners into their product. It's really great to see it continually improving and evolving to meet the needs of advancement teams.
Absolutely. And let's talk for a minute also about integrations. So we've been working with, some of our clients on kind of building their tech stack around Ascend. So if you could talk through some of those common use cases of what are we typically plugging in to play nicely with Ascend?
Of course. So in addition to Ascend's like 3 core modules, which are biodemo, prospect management, and gift processing, as Kushal mentioned earlier, their constituent portal is built on Salesforce's Experience Cloud. And this is most frequently used for giving pages and donation pages, and it is connected with most of the common payment processing services such as Freely and Stripe, so that there is a smooth and efficient way to process donations and event registrations. And furthermore, like logged in portal users also have some additional benefits to be able to view their giving history and like update their constituent contact information themselves. So it's not always just in the hands of, the advancement team to manually have to populate email and address updates and so forth. And then, of course, since Ascend is built on the Salesforce platform, it does integrate well with marketing automation tools, including Marketing Cloud and Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, also formerly known as Pardot. Document generation applications, a couple examples are Conga and FormStack, and deduplication tools such as demand tools. And then lastly, I've seen a lot of clients and Ascend customers also implement Smarty Streets for address verification and Blackthorn for event management successfully as well. And I know that UCI has their own partnerships with Smarty and Blackthorn too.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison. And then Carolyn and Kushal, before we move on to the last section here, any final words or any details about how Ascend specifically supports alumni engagement?
Yeah, I think we mentioned the alumni portal, but if I might add, Ascend itself, given the basis for developing the product was advancement and alumni engagement, it has really very robust ways of tracking constituent activity. We call it involvements, but whether that is board activity or any other volunteering activity or activity that they might have had as a student is very robustly captured, because that went into the design of the product, and we are continually improving there. And to Allison's point, because there's a tight integration with Marketing Cloud, if your engagement is on that platform, there is just a whole bunch of opportunity with newsletters and appeals and communication preference centers that would allow you to just elevate your advancement program and tie the engagement with philanthropic activity as well, which I might say, the Salesforce platform just enables that in a way that just hasn't been available to the industry for many, many years. And again, I know I'm repeating myself, but Portal has features like giving history, I know, where you can reprint receipts if you wanted to give that option to donors, but it actually in some use cases can do endowment reports if you are if you're looking to provide online access to endowment reports, it offers you that opportunity. So there are multiple facets of alumni engagement that are available through Portal. And because Portal is Experience Cloud and sits on the same platform, you really don't have to aggregate data. It's just updating your Ascend information real time, which is a distinct advantage. I've been in the industry long enough where some of the industry attempts are pre-Facebook in terms of offering Portal, and this just seems like so much more efficient and effective, not just for advancement services practitioners, but for constituents themselves. I think they are expecting that of us. They are demanding that of us. And really, in terms of alumni engagement, a really robust online portal experience adds value to alumni engagement.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kushal. And then for our last section here, we'll talk about looking forward and some advice from this panel. So Barb, I know you're in the midst of implementation with the Heller team right now, but how do you anticipate that the adoption of Ascend will improve your ability and your team's ability to engage with your alumni and donors?
Yeah, and so in my notes, but the thing I think it's a single source of truth, right? And I think that that's really the piece that is really important to us, because right now we've got all these workarounds, we've got some things here and some things there, and and I think specifically, an example of events, right? So being able to tie the Blackthorn events into the system, and so now we can actually communicate with people based on what they've done, what things we might think that they want to do, and right now we can't do that because we don't have access to that information. So I think it's really being able to provide our donors and our alumni with information that's meaningful to them, because we have it all in one place, versus trying to kind of pull this from different sources. And I think to go back to what Kushal said, was this portal, right? Giving people access to their information so that they can update their email address or their preferences, or get access to their tax receipt, or see what their giving total is on their own schedule, as opposed to having to wait for us to get it to them. And so I think that that's something that, like you say, I think people are starting to expect that. And if we can provide them with that, I think it's going to help them just be more of a part of the community than kind of, being like, oh, so I'm excited about that part. Let's see, hold on. Yes, no, that's good. Thank you. I should have made better notes. I don't know.
No, I like it. I like it. I have another question for you, Barb. We'll stick with you. So, since you're in the thick of it right now, what advice do you have for other leaders if they're listening to this and going, "Gee, this all sounds great, but how do I get started, or what should I be thinking about before I go on this journey?
So how much time do we have left? No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. So, you know, I think one of the things that's really important is I think to take some time to understand what your roadblocks are, what your challenges are, and what your issues are. Because I said for the, you know, for the 4.5 years kind of before we decided to move forward with new technology, I'm like, we don't necessarily have a database problem, we've got a data problem. And so we can get new technology, and that's going to be awesome. But if we just take the same data we've got and we put it into a brand new system, we're going to have a really expensive, crappy looking data system. So I think that recognizing that helped us make some decisions in terms of what system was going to work better for us. And knowing that we had a lot of change management to go through in this process as well. So it's not just, you know, kind of implementing a new system, it's implementing all of the things around that too. So I think it's important to understand what those challenges are. And I think, you know, I would say for us, one of the life-saving things I think has been finding great partners to work with, you know, like Heller, with some other partners that we've worked with, because you guys have the experience. I don't know the first thing about implementing a new CRM. And so, and along the way, our kind of consulting partners have really helped us kind of, you know, calm me down and, you know, reassure me this is good, answer all my questions. You know, even the folks at UC Innovation, you know, take my call. It's Barb again. Excellent. Hi, let me answer your questions. You know, because it's uncertain, it's scary, and this is a big decision. So I think finding some partners that are going to actually be patient, answer all of your questions, answer them to your satisfaction, I think is important. And I think also be realistic. You know, this change does not happen overnight. And so I think it's really important to understand that it's going to be a while. It's not only kind of this shifting technology, but changing people's way that they do work. And people sometimes don't like change a lot. So being realistic about that. And one thing I've noticed through some of our reference checks and even talking to some folks, I think a lot of times we put artificial deadlines on stuff. It's like, we have to be live in February of like 2025. And it's like, okay, well, why? And why are we putting this artificial deadline on that? And I think making sure you're working through the process and going live when it's right for you and when the technology is right and when you have all of the stuff kind of lined up. You don't want to take 20 years. But you also want to make sure you have, you know, enough time to kind of work through all these things. And so I think kind of shortening, initially when the VP started, he's like, well, 12 to 18 months. I'm like, sure. You know, it took us 12 to 18 months to like make a decision, sign all the contracts and kind of get our implementation partner set up. So I'm like, sure, no problem. But I think just really being patient and realistic about what you can accomplish. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
That's fantastic. And oh, Barb, I'm sorry, and we're going to stick with
I'm
you. I have
sorry.
another one for you. This
I'm
is the
sorry,
part where I
listeners.
really
They're like,
no, this is
stop
fantastic
talking.
because you are in it right now and you have all of the advice. So you mentioned change management. This is a big undertaking. How have you been supporting your staff through this process?
You know, we bought a lot of Kleenex so that they could come in and we could have kind of some crying sessions. You know, they've limited me to crying once a day in the office. So I'm really trying to work on that timeline. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. So I think, you know, getting some support. So consultants when you can, you know, because we have to do this. I still have a day job to do. You know, my work didn't go away. My work just got added to, and that's the same with kind of everyone. So I think understanding that and trying to bring in resources when you can, consultants, because they can help with that kind of heavy lifting. And I think understanding your culture and understanding what people can absorb. And one of the decisions that we had to make with an implementation partner, I think there's a couple different ways that these can go. And I think there's kind of a sprint methodology, agile, and kind of this traditional kind of project management way to go. And we knew kind of internally that the sprint methodology was not going to work for how our team worked. And so I wasn't willing to put our team under that kind of stress in very small bursts because I just knew that we couldn't absorb that. So I think understanding your culture and understanding kind of what your staff can absorb is also, I think, helpful to just help make those better decisions for them. And again, just kind of, realistic timelines. Again, people are doing the work. Gifts still have to get processed, right? Research still has to be done. Events still have to go on. All of those things have to happen on top of a CRM implementation, going through like data mapping and all of the other cool and exciting things, but also the things that take a lot of time. So I think it's just be patient with people and understand that this is also on top of people's full-time jobs. And most places, I don't think, have the finances to be able to hire on a whole nother team of people to help with an implementation. So I think it's just making sure you're not trying to burn everybody out during that process. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Barb. That's fantastic advice. And Allison, for you, I'll give Barb a break here, and we'll go to Allison. So Allison, what advice do you have for leaders that are going into a big project like this?
Yeah, at Heller, we like to use the analogy that implementing a new system like UCI's Ascend is really like moving to a new house, which probably many of us have done, probably all of us, and potentially even in a new city or in a new country. First, the process starts with the decision to move and where to move to, which is comparable with the system and product selection. Then there's a whole phase of preparation where you're determining what you want to bring with and what you want to leave behind. So for the implementation project, preparation was really about designing what your future state is going to look like and setting priorities for what you need to do to get there. And just like Barb iterated, I would really want to underscore here for leaders that the implementation projects are extremely large time commitments for the subject matter experts on your staff. And above and beyond their current job responsibilities, they're really going to be the ones that are most crucial to the project's success because they're going to be able to provide the input on the business process decisions, and they're going to be the ones in the system testing out to make sure that the functionality is aligning with their expectations. Of course, move day or launch day will eventually arrive, but the work still is not done. Like it's not just a switch of a light turning on launch day.
Hold on, it's not? Hold on, it's not? Nobody told me that.
Spoiler alert. The boxes may be in your new home, but of course you need to unpack and reorganize everything in their new location. Similarly, for a new system, it takes time and effort to get accustomed to the new processes, speaking the new system's language. For many, the object names are going to be different in Salesforce than your existing legacy system. And also, typically afterwards, we're seeing a lot of cleaning up and deduplicating and reorganizing of data. And then this is really why we have seen a lot of organizations and educational institutions partner with consulting firms like Heller because we've been through this process. And what Heller does offer is a period of post-launch support because we really want to successfully transition the system over to the new owners. And we always continue to partner with our clients for a period of at least a few months after launch in order to make this whole project a success.
Yeah, we like to partner for multiple phases of projects. You can't get rid of us. We like to stick around. And then for Kushal and Carolyn, just talking about, just overall support if somebody is going into adopting Ascend, you all have this wonderful community called the Ascenders. Could you talk a little bit about that community?
Yeah, so this one's mine. Oh, by the way, I love the house analogy, Allison. That's really a great way, and you can picture it in your mind. So we have a really robust community. It is a tenet of our organization that we want to make sure that we are listening to our community members are senders. And so we've enabled all sorts of things in order to make that happen. We have a user community portal where we host all of our documentation, our release notes, our installation guides. There is a place for you to put in ideas. We have videos of for every release. We have, we pick 1 or 2 features, and we have little short videolets about what that feature is. We have stored all the videos about Ascend itself that we do. There's an area for what essentially is our product advisory group called the Innovation Council. So they might get previews. So before we launched Ascend AI, they got an actual preview before the rest of the community, and then certainly before the rest of the advancement community, so they could direct us to say, hey, we are on the right track, or is this make sense? Is it what you feel that we should be doing? And we solicit that advice from not only our Innovation Council, but also any user who's using our Ascend product can provide us with feedback about, hey, this idea, this thing might be a really good thing to do. And we take those ideas and we listen to what's going on, and people can upvote ideas, all sorts of things that we can make sure that we have this robust community. We also meet in person once a year and support that with virtual events. So we have a virtual meeting of the user community in just about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. And we also host what we call campfire chats. So this is an opportunity for the community members to talk to each other about things. So the first one was about gift processing. We had one on prospect development. We actually had one about the portal. We have one in December coming up just about matching gifts and how that works, especially with our partner Double the Donation. So the topics come from all of you, all the community members, about what you want to talk to each other about. And so because we have people in all phases of implementation, it's really, you can learn from people who have already implemented, and the people who are just starting can listen and say, oh, maybe I should remember X, Y, or Z. So the advice comes from the community itself. And I think that's one of the best things about our community, just the fact that we have an avenue, several avenues for you to be able to provide feedback to each other as well as to us. Joshua, do you want to answer and add anything?
No, I think you covered it all, Carolyn. I think we have intentionally made that investment in the community, and guess what? It just pays back in dividends back to us as a product company. So we really enjoy the support of the community.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kushal and Carolyn. So that's it for my questions. So I did have a couple of questions that were submitted ahead of time from you all, but if you have anything that you've been thinking about throughout today's presentation, please go ahead and drop that in the question box. We'll get that answered while we have the panel here. I do have one sort of more technical question to kick us off here, Kushal and Carolyn, about Ascend. So somebody had asked ahead of time, does the software allow for flexible counting of engagement experiences for alumni based on case changes? So I think they're asking about, sort of being compliant with case.
So if it's a question about CASE AEM, we are a standards champion with CASE, and so we will get any changes to the CASE AEM survey in advance, and we will implement those. Barb may not know, but we actually just released all the AEM reports to help you fill out the survey for that. Because the survey opened in September. So you can, if you have the latest reporting package, you can go ahead and run those reports to fill out that survey. And so we will continue to update those reports that support you filling out the surveys every year. Last year was a huge change in the VSE. And so we basically had to redo all the reports for that, but we went ahead and did that and had them released in time for people to use for the VSE report. We'll do the same thing for AEM. And if anyone's here from the UK and Australia, we'll also start supporting the Ross case standards reporting as well.
Very cool. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Carolyn. And then Barb, I have a question for you of somebody was asking about balancing a technology project with other priorities. So I'm thinking, yeah, of other priorities of your department is what I'm thinking. Yeah, if you have any advice around that.
Let's see. Yeah, that's, I'd love to hear. No, I can't. I'm the expert here. Okay, so, I think it's, you kind of got to work together and figure it out. And I think be honest with leadership on what we can do, what we can't do. There's certain things that have to happen. And then other things you're kind of like, all right, we can push that off a little bit. So, and understanding that, especially if the organization's made the CRM as a priority, that kind of needs to take precedent over a lot of other things, because you're going to waylay, if you miss a deadline kind of a month here, that kind of, is going to waylay things down at the end. So I think it's just day to day and try to go with the flow. And that's probably not great advice, but it's really just having open communication, talking with each other, and I think helping each other out, right, and having each other's backs and sharing kind of the load, and just kind of figuring out as you go. If anybody's found the magic kind of way to handle that, I'd love to hear it. But I really think it's just kind of figuring out as you go.
Mhm. Absolutely. Allison, I'll give that same question to you of, when we're doing these projects and there's different priorities going on with the client teams, how does Heller kind of adapt around that?
Yeah, I really find that clients who are kind of where their leadership backs their subject matter experts and really enforces how important the CRM implementation project is, and maybe even establishes like you should set aside 10 hours of your regular work week or some type of interval of time to having CRM related meetings. I really find that they're very successful when they're able to do that. But having leadership's backing of your foreigner staff is really critical. Heller, we do try to advise where we can of how many hours a particular phase of a project may take. So the design process early on, there is a period of time where clients are heavily involved in really informing us of their decisions, and we're iterating on what they would like to see with business processes. Then it kind of goes a little quiet, so you can have a little bit of time back into your day-to-day as my teams and our consultants at Heller are, heads down and configuring the system based on those specifications. But then when we get back around to testing the system, and certainly by launch, but the rounds of testing, it really requires the more time that you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, and the more you're going to uncover issues that were incorrect and need to be, realigned for launch and so forth. So we do try to set expectations that throughout the project will take a very long time to implement, usually probably at least a year or a year and a half. But there are kind of ebbs and flows in which a client may need to have a little bit more face time with the consulting partner or whoever to devote to the project than others. And we also try to align those with the university's busy periods and so forth too, to make sure that everybody's schedules are accounted for.
And I was just going to kind of echo that I think that it's important to be upfront with kind of, when is your busy time? When are kind of times that your stuff is not going to be available, right? Like, homecoming, or, I mean, whatever these things are. So you kind of know, okay, let's not plan some heavy, employee involvement during this period of time, because people aren't going to be able to do that. So during audit or during, end of December or whatever those things happen to be. So I think that that's really important to be upfront with kind of your partners of when there's kind of blackout dates that you can't have staff resources.
Wonderful. Thank you, Barb and Allison. We're in our final minutes here, so I'm just going to do a quick wrap up of thank you all for joining us today. And if you would like to subscribe and read some more resources from Heller Consulting or UC Innovation, we have our websites up on the screen here. At Heller, we write quite a bit about implementation process, about choosing software, about advice for helping your staff. We have a lot of change management experts on our team, so we write quite a bit about change management. So I encourage you to go subscribe if you aren't already part of our list. And then Carolyn and Kushal, is there anything else you want to add about UC Innovation before we wrap up?
Just that we have blogs about all sorts of things, thought leadership in general for advancement, and we host about 2 webinars a month, and some of them may be specific to Ascend. You can get a general demo of Ascend or market processing in Ascend, but also just general topics, again, for the general advancement community. So head on over to our website to register for those.
Wonderful. All right. Well, that is it for us today. Thank you to our wonderful panel, and thank you all for joining. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks all.